enforcement.
Oh, hello. Is that Mr. Yates?
Speaking.
Are you a enforcement officer or agent? Yeah. You're an enforcement officer.
How can I be of assistance?
I've been trying to call you because I've got to pay you some money, but I just want to make sure everything's like correct.
Right. Okay. Have you got a reference number or a warrant number?
Well, so I mean, you're an enforcement officer, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you work for the court.
We're on behalf of the magistrate's court, depending on the warrant.
Right. Okay. Well, what it is, mate, is because I was trying to call you yesterday to sort of like, and I've spoken to someone, and they've sort of said to me that you know that if it's a council tax or a parking ticket, that you can't break into my house.
Okay.
Is that right?
Council. You'd have to speak to a company called Rossendale's that deal with council tax. There's different laws to them. I tend to deal with criminal, really.
Right. Okay.
So
but
I don't want to say for definite because I wouldn't like to trod on anyone's toes. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. But is it a parking charge? Can you for a parking penalty charge notice parking ticket? Can you break into anyone's house or?
We can't actually break into anyone's house. You could give a warning prior to.
Right, but
the court for a locksmith, so we will gain entry that way.
Right, for a parking ticket, mate, for a PNC.
A PNC, we wouldn't normally be. No, it is a case you could put it to the court. Rather on a magistrate's warrant, it's a lot easier.
Right, yeah, that's what I thought. So if it was, I've been told if it's criminal, you don't have to, you know, there is the power of entry. But if it's a civil debt, then you don't have to, you know, that you can't break in for it. Is that right, mate?
A civil debt, yeah. Whereas if it was a magistrate, it's fine, and I was coming on for a criminal matter, yeah, I could just come into your property, no problem at all. On like a PCN or such, what would have to happen, rather than me just do it, you'd have to send it to the court, and you would have to get permission from them.
So the court can give permission for a civil debt for you to break in someone's house?
It has never been done before.
Right. Okay. So
I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that you can apply.
Right. Yeah. You could apply to do a lot of things, mate, couldn't you?
Yeah. I'm just saying that's what how it is, mate. You can apply.
Yeah.
For it.
And do you know anything about council tax?
I've never done it, mate.
You've never done council tax?
No. With regards to PCN, I've never applied for a locksmith, ever.
Right, okay. And do you know anything about council tax, mate?
Council tax, mate, it's not my bag.
Right, but you're an enforcement officer. You get trained on it all, though, don't you? You've got...
No, what had happened is we'd all do the same licence as such. And then depending on what part of the company you go, they would specialise and teach you more of exactly what you need to know, the ins and outs. Oh,
so you don't know nothing about council tax then, fella?
No, it's not my bag, mate.
No worries, mate, no worries. I think it's a parking ticket that's outstanding, and so if you can't break in for a parking ticket, just not answering the door is probably the best thing, isn't it, mate? Because there's nothing you can do then, is there?
You can do whatever you want, mate. But
you can't do anything other than knock, really, can you?
Well, that's it. We'll have to see at the time, won't we?
Well, are you saying you can break in?
What's your reference number, pal?
Oh, no, I don't think I want to give the reference number just yet, mate. It's just that you've just told me that you can't break into my house for a parking ticket.
I won't break into anyone's house for anything.
Well, you couldn't get a locksmith to break into my house for a parking ticket.
Would you like to give me the reference number?
No, mate, no. I'd rather shit in my hands and clap.
All right.
So you can't break in for a parking ticket, can you?
You can't break into anywhere. It's against the law.
All right. So can you force entry for anywhere?
Of course you
can. For a parking ticket. Can you force entry for a parking ticket?
I can force my way into anywhere. I'm a human being.
Right. So you can. So legally, you can force entry for a parking ticket.
Anybody could.
And you are an enforcement officer. You're an enforcement officer.
I work at McDonald's.
You work at McDonald's?
Yeah.
You are probably Ronald McDonald the Clown, aren't you?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. So, because at the start of the phone call, you said you was a High Court enforcement officer.
Okay.
Didn't you? You're misrepresenting your powers.
Okay, mate.
Aren't you? Okay, you said you was a High Court enforcement officer, mate. You're an enforcement agent. You're a bailiff. Okay. You are not an enforcement officer. You've misrepresented your powers.
Okay, Bob.
Yeah? You agreeing?
Okay. Are we finished?
No, well, if you want to carry on talking. Have you been doing the job long, son?
I'll see you soon.
Oh, yeah, you will. Sooner than you'll see me on YouTube. Going to be a YouTube star. He's hung up. Right, folks, just to let you know, if it's a PNC, a penalty charge notice parking ticket, they cannot force entry. Imagine bailiffs and enforcement agents are like vampires. If you let them in, they can then come back and they can then force entry and stuff like that, and they don't like to tell you that. The safest thing to do, the rule is that they cannot force entry for a civil debt. Council tax, they cannot force entry. Parking tickets, PNCs, they cannot. Penalty charge notice, PCN, they cannot force entry. They can force entry if you've let them in and then they come back. And because they that's the law. They come, you let them in, they make a levy, and then they break in a little while later. Yeah, they bring the locksmith back, whatever they do. Do not open the door to them. If you open the door to them and they barge past you, that is forced entry. But if you ain't got no way of proving that, you'll go to court and say, he pushed his way past me, and they'll say, no, I didn't. And what do you reckon the court's going to do? Yeah, remembering bailiffs work for the courts. So the safest way, folks, on a civil debt, do not even open the door of them. Talk through a window if you have to talk to them at all. Get some information, get some education, speak to some people, ask the bailiff what he can do. They'll try and jazz it up, but you should be able to work it out. If it's a civil debt, they cannot force entry. Civil debt cannot force entry unless you've previously let them in. Then you're in trouble. Like I said, imagine they're like vampires. They're worse than vampires, because vampires only really want your blood and your soul. They'll take every bloody thing, A bailiff will take everything. The other thing is that vampires have got the decency not to come out during the day because, they burn or melt. I wish bailiffs would. Guys, civil debt, they cannot force entry.